No, we can't.
You die, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I just deal with it the best I can with good people, you know. I reach out to good people and just kind of keep the support around me.
We need to get you meditating, my man.
Yeah, because I've been trying to meditate a little bit more, and especially in the last 2 weeks, it hasn't been going great.
No?
To be honest.
You're just getting stuck in your head?
Stuck in my head, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind that is to get out of your head.
Yeah.
Right? Just be.
I am, and then it'll be like something that's happened 10 years ago. And I'm like, why am I thinking about this? Like, it's 10 years.
You know, I think the more you stick with it, this is the thing that most people don't understand about meditation, is that, like, years and years and years of suppression, it's going to come out. It's going to come out. So, like, when you sit there and you're trying to kind of just focus on your breathing, everything has to just be released at some point in time.
Yeah.
You will have to face it. So, like, it doesn't mean quit meditating. It means, hey, this came up, I'll just have to let it go. Now, it just look at it as a sign of something that you bottled down. Now it's coming up. Let's just, now that you're focused on it, it's probably the last time you'll have to let it go.
Right.
And keep going.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. It's a daily practice. I gotta admit that it is a daily practice, and I don't practice it every day.
Right.
You know? So maybe I should focus on that a little bit more. I maybe have gone into a little bit of a depressive state, but nothing major, man. It's nothing to worry about.
I'm not good. I know I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And every time that you're showing up, I'm always happy to see you.
Good. I love giving you a hug, man.
I know, man. It's the best part of the Sunday.
Yeah.
So, in terms of happiness, we know that we're responsible for our own happiness. And as frightening as that thought may be, there should also be comfort there as well, because that means that no one else holds the power, and no one else can control you. No one else can make you feel better. However, no one else should be able to make you feel bad either.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tough thing for people with anxiety and depression, because we know that you're sensitive. We know that sometimes it's a self-esteem issue.
Right.
And you kind of look for validation from others. So if others say something shitty, you're probably going to be hurt by it. And
you take it personally, you know. You take everything that someone says, maybe even negatively personally, or something that you read into it. I read something the other day that said, I'm only responsible for how I deliver something. I'm not responsible for how someone receives it. And ultimately, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And same thing on the other end. I'm responsible for how I receive things when other people are, being dicks, or what I perceive as being dicks, right? They're just maybe being themselves, or maybe they've had a tough day, and I take that personally,
right? And
they're just being them, right?
Yeah,
being them
sure.
in their own state. So.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of important just to realize that if we're talking about how we can make ourselves feel better, that also means we can build ourselves up to the point that no one else can tear us down.
Yeah.
And that's something to really focus on doing, because the more that you try to work on yourself, the less anyone else has power over.
Right. That's
it's the same thing that we were just kind of talking about. When you look for love or someone else to make you feel that, you're never going to be happy.
Well, it's like trying to get instant gratification, right? And there's no resilience in instant gratification. So I want to be resilient. I want to be a resilient man.
I know you do. Same with me. And in this day and age, unfortunately, the instant gratification is just getting quicker and quicker.
You betcha.
So you're in control of your own life, your own happiness, and your own destiny. Whatever you want to control, or whenever you want to control a difficult situation in your life, it usually involves some type of change. This is one of the things people have the most difficulty with. We are creatures of habit. So this whole hour-long talk that we're going to be doing is all about changing and trying to find the courage to change, because we've given everyone, we're on week 12 now. The last, however, we've even done 14 of these. This would be 15, right? Mm-hmm. So the 14 episodes, we've talked about tools, whether it's breathing exercises, whether it's putting up a stop sign when you notice that a thought is continually, a negative thought is always happening, putting up that stop sign, going back to breathing, and just letting it go. We've given the tools here. So now it's just about, if you're not using them, why? Why aren't you moving forward? What is it that you're getting out of being anxious or being stressed or being depressed?
Sometimes it's that bullshit story in our head, though.
It is.
That we're like, I can't use that tool. And I have the tool in my toolbox, right? And it's some bullshit story telling me that I can't use that, or it's never going to work, right? And I think that's failing even before you try. That's like contempt prior to investigation, right?
Yeah, for sure. And what do you recommend doing if someone is...
Just do it anyways. Feel the fear and do it anyways.
Perfect. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the only ways that you can really... I mean, you get a little victory out of that.
Yeah.
You know, when you go through something that you're anxious about and you get through the other side, you're like, holy shit, I did that.
I'm still alive. Wow.
I'm okay.
I didn't have a panic attack to death.
And that's a little victory.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's possible. You know, I can do that again. I can do that again. I can maybe even push my comfort zone a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
as we're going to get into, you need to start, if you want any kind of progress and any kind of growth, you have to start doing the things that you really have been avoiding, and you have to use the tools that we put out there to kind of help you move forward, so that you can see that you will survive, so that you can see, hey, I can handle this.
Yeah.
I'm not as weak as I thought, or this is something that will be rewarding for me. You'll start to feel good at the end of the day by doing these things. Little victories, baby steps, right?
That's what I think, for sure.
For sure. So the most mature organisms in the world are any kind of organisms that change and adapt in the most comfortable fashion. It's extremely difficult to admit you're getting something out of being anxious or depressed, but you really are getting something out of this negative behavior. So much of our lives, we tend to see things in extremes. It's either this way, or it's that way, or it's totally black and white. We need to examine exactly what it is that's keeping you stuck. And that black and white is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I stopped drinking, for example, people always think like, well, how did you just kind of stop? And it's one of those situations where I didn't start saying I'm never going to drink again.
Right.
I started saying, it started with this course, with this program, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to touch a drop of alcohol until I get through this program and get over my anxiety and depression and stress.
Right.
And get all that under control. And by the time that I was done this, I felt so good and so alive, I didn't even want any. So
sometimes you have to even break that down to a moment. For me, I'd say I can't drink for the next 10 minutes.
Right.
It was literally down to how do I stay sober for 10 minutes?
And then,
and then you do another 10, maybe another 10. You're like, oh my God, I'm sober a whole day.
Right, absolutely.
That's the wildest thing. Those first few days that you don't drink, I don't know about for you, but those first 4 days, I was so miserable. I was like, this ain't worth it.
Right.
This is not worth it at all. And maybe by day 30, 35, I was like, it's starting to get worth it. You know? And now I'm almost 4 years clean. I'm like, it's definitely worth it.
Right.
It's so definitely worth. I don't know if I could have dealt with this stuff drinking.
No, you can't. I don't think you can.
I don't know if you could. Yeah.
We've talked about how important it is if you're trying to do this stuff to just maybe at least take a little bit of time off to clear your mind. I think that alcohol stays in your brain up to a week after you had
for sure
drinking, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to if you're drinking on a Friday night, Saturday night, and then just recovering through that work week and then doing it all over again. How are you ever going to have a clear mind to do any kind of change?
Right, that's exactly it. And change is difficult.
It's difficult enough sober.
Exactly,
yeah.
It's hard. Change is hard, but I think the best thing I ever heard is every single thing on the planet changes. The leaves change.
Yeah.
Street lights change.
Everything's always in flux.
Right.
In motion.
We kind of live in a fluid world, right? So
we have
to almost embrace that change, right?
Yeah. You can fight age. You can fight everything. It doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Right. Change is always happening. You might as well learn to adapt to it, and you might as well try these skills because, as Paulie said earlier, and I totally agree with him, the anxiety of being stuck and staying anxious and depressed is way worse than the little bit of anxiety it may take to create the change.
To go through it, yeah.
So much of our lives we tend to see it in black and white, and it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's just one extreme to the other, and maybe this is where the baby steps again is huge. Right?
And that's all it is, right? It's just little victories, baby steps.
Yeah.
No, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? You don't have to change your whole life in a day. It's just maybe doing one thing a little bit different tomorrow than you did today.
And all the stuff that we're talking about, if you're not practicing it every day, or doing some sort of relaxation or meditation or any kind of self-care, I mean, some people go to the gym and create endorphins, which I think is a good thing. Working out and eating healthy is a great thing, but it doesn't necessarily, it might make you feel kind of healthy here, but it doesn't totally take control of a mental workout.
Right.
And I think that's where the relaxation, breathing exercises, and meditation need to be added to a fitness regime. But I also think that's good stuff.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So where were we here?
I have written down here about change that you get out what you put into it. And that's really change is inevitable. And suffering through that change, that's optional. You don't have to suffer through that change, right? You can. There's if you put in some time with change, the outcome can be like magical, really, ultimately. And if you don't put a lot in, I think that with recovery, right? Recovery is what you put into it.
Yeah.
If you're always relapsing, if you're always, blaming other people, or you're blaming, something in the past for you drinking, then ultimately you have to stop that blaming, right? Because you put an expectation on other people to stop your drinking, and expectations are basically just premeditated resentments, right?
Right.
No one got me sober. No one said, I'm going to put a gun to your head and you're going to stay sober for 4 years, right?
Sure.
That was a choice that I had to make.
Although, I mean, you've been close to that, right?
Yeah, I certainly have been close to that.
But
I needed to get sober, I needed to get sober for me and by me, and I couldn't get sober for anyone else. And I think that change, as shitty as it was in the beginning, there's been a little bit of beauty in it. You can look back and see beauty in change.
This is a little bit off topic here. Do you think that when you were going through all the addiction and battling the alcohol and drugs and all that stuff, do you think that you were lacking self-love?
Oh, 100%. I didn't love myself at all.
Right, so you just didn't care.
No.
So what advice do you have to give to people that are in that state right now where they don't love themselves, and that's why they're doing all this shit?
Reach out to people that love you until you can love yourself. I think that's the best thing that happened to me. Is I didn't have the ability at that time to love myself, but I had the ability to talk to other people, right? And so I had to break that wall down of being vulnerable and saying, hey, listen, I feel this way, or I feel suicidal, or I feel depressed, right? And allowing someone to love me. That was a tough thing too, is allowing someone to love me. And I think self-love is huge, right? I struggled with that for years. I remember when I was losing my teeth, I wouldn't look in a mirror.
Right.
And so I would shave my face in the shower, I'd brush my teeth in the shower. And that lasted until I don't know, probably 2 years sober. I started brushing my teeth in front of the mirror.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is a huge step that I can look in the mirror. And I think that all had to do with self-love.
Right.
And it works. It's hard. It's one of those things. It's hard because you don't want people to think, "Oh, he's cocky."
Right. Sure.
I think I'm not cocky. I'm confident, and I've had to work fucking hard for this confidence.
I think you know what, dude. Though a lot of that confidence comes from making good decisions rather than bad ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can be proud about. I see all these people that go to the clubs and the bars and everything, and I understand that's kind of the way our society functions. But you make terrible choices, and you have to pay for that the rest of the week, sometimes the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So that's, of course you're not going to love yourself if you're continually making shitty decisions. Right. And I was that person. I don't think that I necessarily didn't love myself. I didn't love the choices I was making, but I kept making them.
Exactly.
So maybe I didn't love myself.
Yeah. And I think that we all have to have some sort of self-love.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all have to. If we want to be productive members of society, we gotta love ourselves a little bit, right? And
if
we want to get through this depression and anxiety, we gotta try to at least be open-minded to love yourself a little bit, right? It doesn't mean flaunt yourself and be cocky. It just means giving yourself a little bit of love.
Well, I think that if your love tank isn't full as an individual, you don't have anything to give to anyone else.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big thing too. As soon as you really truly love yourself, and you can give yourself to someone else confidently, knowing that you're worthy and they're worthy, and vice versa, it also works to the rest of society. You want to help other people that don't love themselves, right?
Exactly.
How do we get you to a place where you can actually contribute to society rather than take from it and take?
Yeah, I always think, figure out, make a list. What's the thing that you want to do with your life? Write that down. Write down the steps that you got to take, right? Reevaluate that in 6 months. Have you taken those steps? If not, then whose fault is it?
Right.
The steps, you've written them down on how to get to your goal.
Yeah.
Look back at 6 months. Have you taken, even if you've taken one step, that's a victory, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's where the expectations come in. Make them realistic.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't try to do a whole page full of change in a month.
No, it's write 4 things down that you want to have happen in a year.
Yeah.
And what do you want to do? What steps does that take? Look at it in half a year and say, okay, I'm halfway. How many steps have I taken?
Yeah.
If you've taken one step, or are you on your way to one step, that's a little victory.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's how we set goals, and we don't sell ourselves short.
I agree. I think goal setting is a great thing to do, but again, when you have anxiety and depression, you kind of tend to be a perfectionist as well.
Yeah.
And you know, you'll set these goals and then you'll be disappointed in yourself.
They got to be realistic, right?
Yeah,
they have
so-
to be, you know, like get out of bed every day as often as I can.
Little things, baby steps.
That doesn't
right?
mean get out of bed every single day, and if I don't, I'm going to kick the shit out of myself. I mean,
Right.
you know, write it down every day I get out of bed.
Yeah.
See if there's more days that I get out of bed than not.